Marcus Chen was a very rich man. He owned many coffee shops all over the city. He had 43 coffee shops, but he never went to any of them. He sat in a big office on top of a tall building and made all his decisions from there. He looked at numbers on computer screens. He read emails. He went to meetings, but he never really saw his own business. One day, Marcus received an email that made him feel worried. The email said that people who came to his biggest coffee shop were not happy. The numbers showed that fewer people were coming each day. Money was going down. Marcus thought about this email many times. He could not stop thinking about it. Numbers on a screen told him something was wrong, but numbers could not tell him what to fix. Marcus decided to do something he had never done before. He would go to the coffee shop himself and see what was happening. But he did not want to go as Marcus Chen, the owner. He did not want people to treat him different. So he put on simple clothes. He wore a gray hoodie and regular jeans. He did not shave for 2 days. He put on an old watch that looked like nothing special. He looked like just another person. He looked like someone who was not important. He looked like someone no one would notice. It was a cold morning when Marcus walked into his coffee shop on 5th Avenue. The place was nice. The walls were clean. The chairs were good quality. Everything looked correct. Everything looked the way he wanted it to look from his office far away. He walked to the counter and stood in line. There were not many people there. It was early morning. He waited for his turn. A young woman was working behind the counter. Her name tag said Sophie. She had kind eyes and a nice smile. She was not rushing. She was not looking at her phone. She was just standing there ready to help. When it was Marcus' time, she looked at him and said, "Hello. Good morning. What can I get for you?" Her voice was warm and real, not fake. Not like people who were just doing their job because they had to do it. Marcus said, "1 medium cappuccino, please." It was a simple order. Sophie nodded and made his coffee. She was careful. She did not rush. She made it with attention. After a few minutes, she handed him the cup. Their eyes met for just one moment. She smiled at him. It was a real smile, not a pretend smile. Marcus took the coffee and sat by the window. He wanted to watch the shop. He wanted to see how it worked. He wanted to understand why the numbers were getting worse. He drank his coffee slowly. It was very good. It was better than he expected. The shop was quiet. There were a few people reading books. Some people worked on computers. An older man sat in the corner and looked out the window, not talking to anyone. A young couple sat at a small table and talked quietly about their plans. After 20 minutes, Sophie came over to Marcus' table. This was unusual. In most coffee shops, workers do not come to your table after they give you your drink. But Sophie did. She had a small plate of cookies in her hand. She said, "I made these this morning. Would you like to try one? It is free." Marcus looked at her with surprise. She did not even know his name. He was just a customer. But she was offering him something she made herself. Something she cared about. Marcus took a cookie. It was warm and good. He said, "Thank you. This is very nice." Sophie sat down in the chair across from him. She was not supposed to do this. She should have been working. But she sat down anyway. Sophie said, "You know, you look sad." She said this in a very simple way. Not like she was making fun of him. Not like she was nosy. She just said it like she was saying the weather was cold. She was just saying what she saw. Marcus did not know what to say. When was the last time someone noticed him like this? When was the last time someone really looked at him and saw how he actually felt? Marcus had been running this big company for many years. Everyone around him called him Mr. Chen. They called him Sir. They were scared of him. They did what he said because he was the boss. They did not talk to him like a real person. They did not ask him if he was sad or happy. They did not offer him cookies they made with their own hands. He looked at Sophie and did not have any smart words to say. He was just a man sitting in a coffee shop with a cookie in his hand, and someone had noticed that he was sad. It was strange. It felt good and strange at the same time. Sophie talked to him for a few more minutes. She did not know who he was. She did not know he owned the shop. She just talked to him like he was a person, like he was someone worth talking to. After she left, Marcus sat there for a long time. He had his medium cappuccino. He had the warm cookie. He had the feeling of being seen. Something inside him was starting to change, but he did not understand it yet. Marcus decided he would come back to this coffee shop again. He would come back to watch and listen and understand. He would come back to see how a young woman working in his coffee shop could make him feel something real, something important, something he had not felt in years. He did not know that this visit would change everything. He did not know that 3 words from a waitress would change his life completely. But for now, he just sat by the window, drank his coffee, and felt something moving inside his heart. Marcus came back to the coffee shop the very next day. He told himself that he was just checking on his business. He told himself that he needed more information about what was wrong. But in his heart, he knew the real reason. He wanted to see Sophie again. He wanted to sit by the window and feel that same feeling of being seen. When he walked in, Sophie was working again. She was serving a customer, but she saw Marcus come in. She smiled at him. It was a real smile. She remembered him from yesterday. After she helped the other customer, she waved at him like they were friends. Marcus did not know what to do. He waved back. He ordered a coffee and sat at the same table by the window. This time, Marcus watched Sophie very carefully. He watched how she worked. She was not fast like a machine. She was not slow either. She was something different. She was present. When she made a coffee, she really paid attention to every step. When she talked to a customer, she really listened to what they said. She did not look at the clock. She did not look tired or angry. She looked like she actually wanted to be there, in that coffee shop, making coffee for people. An older woman came in and asked for a black coffee. Sophie made it and brought it to her. But before the woman could walk away, Sophie asked her, "Are you having a good day today?" The woman looked surprised by this question. Most workers do not really care about their customers. But Sophie did. The woman said, "Not very good. My husband is sick and I am worried." Sophie listened. She really listened. She did not just nod and walk away. She said, "I hope he feels better soon. Please come back tomorrow and tell me how he is doing. I will make you a special coffee with extra cream, just the way you like it." The old woman's eyes became wet. She was happy. She felt like someone cared about her. Marcus watched this and his heart felt something strange. His coffee shops made money. His coffee shops were clean and nice. But his coffee shops did not do this. His coffee shops did not make people feel like someone cared about them. After an hour, Sophie came to his table again. This time she had 2 cups of tea. She said, "I made you a special tea today. I saw you looking sad again. I thought maybe tea would help more than coffee." She sat down across from him without asking. They started to talk. Sophie told him many things. She told him that she was a student. She was studying to become a social worker. She worked at the coffee shop to pay for her school. She said, "I love this job." You know why? Because every person who comes in here has a story. Every person has problems and good things in their life. I get to be part of their day. Maybe I make their day a little bit better. That is what I want to do with my life. I want to help people feel less alone. Marcus listened to her and felt something breaking inside him. Something that had been hard and cold for a long time was breaking into pieces. He asked her, "Do you think people who come here feel less alone?" Sophie said, "Yes, I see it. This man comes in every morning. He sits alone. He reads the newspaper. For months, I just served him coffee. Then one day I asked him about the newspaper. I asked him about what he was reading. Now we talk every morning. He told me that coming here is the best part of his day. Because someone sees him, someone talks to him." Marcus asked, "Does this happen often?" Sophie smiled. She said, "All the time. There is a young couple that met right here in this shop. There is a businessman who comes here because he says the coffee is better than other places. But I think he really comes because someone says hello to him and asks how he is. There is a young person who comes here when they are sad, because they know they will feel better after they talk to me. This is not just a coffee shop. It is a place where lonely people come to feel less lonely." Marcus did not say anything. He could not say anything. His eyes felt wet. Sophie looked at him carefully. She said, "You know, I do not know your name. I do not know what you do. But I know you are sad. I know you are carrying something very heavy. I can see it in your eyes. I can feel it when I am near you. Whatever is making you sad, please know that you are not the only one who feels alone. Many people feel this way, but you do not have to stay sad. You can talk to someone. You can ask for help. You can find people who care about you." Marcus felt like he was going to cry right there in the coffee shop. This young woman who he did not even know was saying more true things to him than anyone had said in years. His wife did not know him like this. His business partners did not know him like this. His family did not know him like this. But this young woman, this Sophie, she could see inside him. She could see that he was sad. She could see that he was alone. He said to her, "Thank you. No one has ever said these things to me before." Sophie said, "Well, I am saying it now. You are not alone, okay? You are not alone." Marcus sat in that coffee shop for hours. He did not go back to his office. He did not check his emails. He did not think about the money or the numbers. He just sat there and felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt like someone actually cared about him, not because of what he owned or what he had, but because of who he was. When Sophie finished her work that day, she was very tired. She had been standing all day. But she came to Marcus' table one more time and said, "Will you come back tomorrow?" Marcus said, Yes, I will come back." She smiled and said, "Good, because I think you need a friend, and I think you need to remember that you are not alone." Marcus left the coffee shop that day, and something inside him was different. He could not go back to being the same person. Something had happened. 3 words from a waitress had changed him. Not 3 special words, just 3 simple words. "You look sad." But these 3 words had opened a door inside his heart that had been closed for so long that he did not even remember it was there. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He kept thinking about Sophie.
He kept thinking about what she had said.
He kept thinking about all the people in his coffee shops who were lonely, just like he was lonely. He kept thinking about how a young woman who made less money than his car cost was doing something he had never done. She was making people feel like they mattered. She was making people feel like they belonged somewhere. Marcus came to the coffee shop every day after that. He did not go to his office much anymore. His business people started to worry. They called him and asked where he was. They asked him if something was wrong. Marcus told them everything was fine, but he did not tell them the real truth. The real truth was that he was spending his days in a coffee shop, sitting by a window, and talking to a young woman named Sophie who worked as a waitress. One afternoon, Sophie sat down with Marcus again during a quiet time. The shop was not very busy. There were just a few people reading and working on computers. Sophie looked tired today. Her feet hurt from standing all day. She took off her shoes under the table. Marcus asked her, "Sophie, can I ask you something?" Sophie said, "Of course." "You can ask me anything," Marcus said. "How do you do this? How do you care so much about every person who comes here? How do you have so much energy to talk to people and make them feel good? I do not understand how you do this." Sophie thought about his question for a long time. She was quiet. Then she said, "You know, I was not always like this. When I first started working here, I was just like any other person working in a coffee shop. I made drinks. I took money. I went home. But then something happened. I met a person. He was an old man who came in every day and sat alone. He had sad eyes. Very sad eyes, like your eyes." She stopped and looked at Marcus right in his face. Then she continued, "This man came in every day for months and no one talked to him. The other workers just took his order and left. One day I was having a very bad day. My mother was sick. I was very worried. I was sad. I was scared. This old man was sitting at his table, and I was almost crying when I served his coffee. He looked at me and he said, 'You look like you need a friend right now.' And he was right. I did need a friend. So I sat down with him. We talked for an hour. He told me about his life. He told me about his wife who died. He told me about his children who did not call him very much. He told me about how lonely he was. And you know what? When I listened to him, my problems felt smaller. My mother got better. But more than that, I understood something very important. Marcus was listening very carefully. He was not even drinking his coffee. Sophie said, "I understood that every person who walks through that door has something. They have something heavy. Maybe they are sick. Maybe they are lonely. Maybe they have problems at work or problems at home. Maybe they are sad. Maybe they are scared. And what they need is very simple. They need someone to see them. They need someone to care. They need to feel like they are not invisible." Marcus felt tears come to his eyes. He was not trying to stop them this time. He let them come. Sophie continued, "So after that, I decided to do something different. I decided to really see every person. I decided that this coffee shop would not just be a place to get coffee. It would be a place where people feel like they belong. where people feel like someone cares. It was hard at first. The manager did not understand. He said I was working too slow. He said I was talking too much. But then he noticed something. People started to come back more. People started to bring their friends. People started to say nice things about the coffee shop on the internet. Now the manager, he lets me do this. He even trained some of the other workers to do the same thing. Marcus said, Sophie, what you are doing is very special. Do you know that? What you are doing is changing people's lives. Sophie said, I know. I can see it. But I do not understand why this is so special. Should we not all do this? Should we not all try to make people feel like they matter? Should we not all try to make people feel less alone? This is not special. This should be normal. This should be what everyone does, Marcus said. You are right. But most people do not do this. Most people are too busy. Most people do not care enough. Most people only think about money and success and they forget about human things. Sophie looked at Marcus very carefully. She said, Are you like that? Are you someone who forgot about human things? Marcus did not answer right away. He looked out the window at the busy street. He saw all the people walking fast, looking at their phones, carrying their heavy things. He saw people who looked lonely in a city full of millions of people. He said, Yes, I am like that. I forgot. I forgot that people are not just numbers on a computer. I forgot that business is not just about money. I forgot that I am human too. Sophie reached across the table and touched his hand. She said, It is not too late. You can remember. You can change. They sat together in silence for a long time. Other customers came and went. Sophie would get up and serve them, then come back and sit with Marcus. They talked about many things. Sophie told him about her dreams. She wanted to help people feel less alone. She wanted to create spaces where lonely people could feel like they belonged. She wanted to study social work so she could help even more people. She told him about how hard it was to pay for school. She had to work many hours. Sometimes she was very tired, but she was going to finish school because she believed in her dream. Marcus asked her, What if you did not have to work so hard? What if you could just study and do your dream without having to worry about money? Sophie said, That would be nice. But that is not real life. That is not how the world works. I have to work. I have to pay for my school. That is the way it is. Marcus knew something in that moment. He knew that he had so much money that he did not even know what to do with it. He had so much power and so much ability to help. But for years he did not help anyone. He just made more money. He just built more coffee shops. He just kept things the same. Sophie said, I have to go work now. But thank you for listening to me. Thank you for sitting here and being my friend. Marcus said, Sophie, can I ask you one more thing? Can I ask you what your biggest dream is? What is the thing you want the most in the world? Sophie smiled. She said, My biggest dream is to create a place like this. A coffee shop where people come not just for coffee, but for connection. Where workers are paid fairly and treated like they matter. Where lonely people feel less lonely. Where everyone is seen. Where everyone belongs. That is my dream. Marcus felt something click inside him, like a puzzle piece that finally fit in the right place. He knew what he had to do. He knew how he was going to change. Marcus did not tell Sophie who he was for a long time. He came to the coffee shop every day for 6 weeks. He sat by the window. He watched. He listened. He learned. He saw everything that Sophie had told him was true. He saw lonely people come in and feel less lonely because Sophie saw them. He saw people who came back every day because they wanted to be around Sophie's kindness. He saw that this one person, working for small money, was doing more for people than his entire company was doing. During these 6 weeks, Marcus made a plan. He went back to his office at night when no one was there. He looked at all his business information. He looked at all his other coffee shops. He wanted to understand why this coffee shop on Fifth Avenue was the only one that had real life in it. He wanted to understand why all the other coffee shops just made money but did not make people happy. The answer was always Sophie. Every decision Sophie made was based on caring about people. Every other coffee shop was run based on making the most money in the fastest way possible. The workers in other shops were just doing their job. They did not care about the people who came in. The money was higher in those shops, but something was missing. Something important was missing. Marcus made many calls. He talked to people who worked for him. He talked to the people who ran the other coffee shops. He asked them questions. He asked them, "Do you know the names of the regular customers?" Most of them said no. He asked them, "Do you ever just sit and talk to customers?" They looked at him like he was crazy. He asked them, "Do you care if the people who come here are happy?" They did not understand the question. One day, Marcus was ready to tell Sophie the truth. He was nervous. He did not know what she would say. He did not know if she would be angry. He did not know if everything would change. He came to the coffee shop in the afternoon. Sophie was working. He sat at his usual table. When the shop was quiet, Sophie came and sat with him. Marcus said, "Sophie, I need to tell you something. Something about who I am." Sophie looked at him with questions in her eyes. She said, "Okay, tell me." Marcus took a deep breath. He said, "I am not just a person who comes to drink coffee every day. My name is Marcus Chen. I am the owner of this coffee shop. I own all 43 coffee shops in this city." Sophie's face changed. She looked shocked. She stood up very fast. She said, "Wait, you are the owner? You are Marcus Chen? The owner of everything?" Marcus said, "Yes, I am sorry I did not tell you before. I came here because I was sad. I came here because I wanted to understand why this shop was not making as much money as my other shops. But I found something much more important. I found you. I found someone who actually cares. I found someone who is doing what all my companies should be doing." Sophie sat back down. She was quiet for a long time. She looked very hurt. She said, "So you were lying to me? You were pretending to be a regular customer when you were really the boss?" Marcus said, "Yes, and I am very sorry. I was wrong. But Sophie, I need you to listen to me. I did not lie about my feelings. I really am sad. I really did need a friend. I really have learned more from you than I have learned from anyone in years. Everything I felt, everything I said, it was all real." Sophie said, "Why did you not tell me from the beginning? Why did you hide?" Marcus said, "Because I wanted to see the real you. I wanted to know what was really happening here when the owner was not watching. And Sophie, do you know what I found? I found that you are incredible. I found that you have created something beautiful in this place. You have created a place where people feel like they matter, and you are paid very small money to do this. You are studying to help people, but you have to work so hard that you are always tired. This is not right. This is not fair." Sophie was looking at him with many different feelings in her eyes. She was hurt, but she was listening. Marcus continued, "I want to tell you my dream now. My dream is to make every coffee shop like this one. I want to train all my workers to do what you do. I want to make sure that people who work in my shops are paid fairly. I want to make sure that people who come to my shops feel like they belong. I want to change everything. And Sophie, I want you to help me do this." Sophie said, "How can I help you? I am just a waitress. You are the owner. You have all the power." Marcus said, "No, you have something I do not have. You have a real understanding of what people need. You have a real understanding of how to make people feel good. You understand the human side of business better than anyone I have ever met. I need you to teach other people. I need you to help me change my company. I need you to work with me," Sophie asked. "What does this mean?" "You want me to stop working here?" Marcus said, "I want you to stop working here if that is what you want. I want you to have choices. I want to pay for your school. I want you to become a social worker if that is your dream. But I also want you to help me. I want to create a program where my workers are trained to see people. I want to create a training program based on your philosophy. I want to make your dream real in every coffee shop in the city, maybe in the whole world." Sophie's eyes became wet with tears. She said, "This sounds like a dream. How can you do this?" Marcus said, "Because I have the money and the power to do it. But I did not have the wisdom to do it until I met you. Sophie, you have changed my life. You have shown me that business is not just about money. Business is about people. So now I am going to use my power and my money to do what you have been doing. I am going to make places where people feel like they belong." Sophie said, "I need to think about this. I need time to understand everything." Marcus said, "I know. Take all the time you need. But please know that I am very serious about this. I want to change, and I want you to help me." They sat together in the coffee shop as the sun went down outside the window. Sophie was thinking about everything that had just happened. She was thinking about how her life had just changed completely. She was thinking about how one person, even a very busy, sad owner of many coffee shops, could still change. 6 months later, everything had changed. Marcus moved his office from the tall building to a small room in the original coffee shop on Fifth Avenue. He was there every morning. He sat at the counter. He watched. He listened. He learned more every single day. Sophie said yes to helping him. She said yes to becoming the director of culture and community engagement for all of his coffee shops. It was a new position. No one in his company had ever had this job before. Her job was to teach workers how to see people. Her job was to teach workers how to make people feel like they belonged. Her job was to help Marcus create coffee shops that were not just places to get coffee, but places to feel less alone. The first thing Sophie and Marcus did was go to every coffee shop. They talked to the workers. They asked them questions. They listened to their stories. Some workers were happy to listen. Some workers were not interested in change. But many workers understood immediately. They understood that what Sophie was teaching them was true. They understood that people came to coffee shops because they wanted to feel something. They wanted to feel seen. Sophie created a training program. She taught workers how to really listen. She taught them how to remember people's names. She taught them how to ask real questions, not fake questions. She taught them that their job was not just to make coffee. Their job was to make spaces where lonely people feel less lonely. The changes were not quick. The changes were not easy. But the changes were real. One by one, Marcus's coffee shop started to become different. More people came back. People brought their friends. People started to say good things about the coffee shops on the internet. Money went up, but that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that people felt different when they went into these shops. People felt like someone cared. People felt like they were seen. A year after Marcus walked into the coffee shop in his gray hoodie, something amazing happened. A man came to the Fifth Avenue shop and asked to talk to Marcus. This man was a reporter from a big newspaper. He said, "I have been coming to your coffee shops for a year now. I have watched everything change. I want to tell your story to other people." Marcus said, "I do not want to talk about myself. I want you to talk about Sophie. Sophie is the one who changed everything." So the reporter interviewed Sophie. She told him about how she started. She told him about the old man who told her she needed a friend. She told him about her dream to create places where people feel like they belong. She told him about how Marcus came to her shop as a regular customer and how they became friends. She told him about how Marcus gave her the power to change all the coffee shops. The newspaper article came out and it was very big. People read about Marcus and Sophie. People read about how a company owner had decided that people mattered more than money. People read about how a young waitress had changed a very rich man's heart. The article was shared thousands of times. People sent emails to Marcus's company. They said, "We want coffee shops like this in our city. We want places like this where we can feel less alone." Companies started to call Marcus. They wanted to know his secret. They wanted to know how to make money while also making people happy. Marcus told them the secret. He said, "The secret is that you have to see people. You have to stop thinking about customers as numbers. You have to think about them as human beings who need something. Maybe they need good coffee. Maybe they need a warm place to sit. Maybe they need someone to ask them how they are. Maybe they need to feel like someone cares." Sophie and Marcus worked together for years. They created training programs that other companies could use. They created guides that other shops could follow. They created something that had never been created before. They created a business model that put people first and money second. Surprisingly, when you put people first, the money comes anyway, but it comes as a side effect. It is not the main point anymore. 5 years after that first day when Marcus walked in wearing a gray hoodie, something very special happened. Sophie finished her school. She became a social worker, but she did not stop working at the coffee shops. She did both things. She worked as a social worker in the afternoons, and she worked as the director of culture and community engagement in the mornings. She was living her dream. At the graduation ceremony, Marcus stood and told Sophie's story. He told everyone how a young woman with a kind heart had changed his life. He told everyone how 3 simple words, "You look sad," had opened his heart. He told everyone that kindness is not weakness. Kindness is the strongest power there is. He said, "Sophie taught me something that I did not learn in business school. She taught me that money is not the reason we work. We work because we want to matter. We work because we want to help people. We work because we want to be part of something that is real and true. When I forgot this, I became sad. When I remembered this, I became happy. Sophie cried when she heard this. She was happy. She was proud. She was grateful. But she did not think she was special. She thought everyone should do this. She thought everyone should see people. She thought everyone should care. Years later, when someone asked Marcus what changed his life, he would always smile and think about that first day. He would think about the gray hoodie. He would think about sitting by the window. He would think about a young woman bringing him cookies. He would think about 3 words that changed everything. He would say, "A waitress saw me when I was invisible. She did not know I was the owner. She did not care about my money or my power. She just saw that I was sad and she cared. That is all it takes. One person to care. One person to really see another person. That is all it takes to change the world. That is all it takes to change a life. That is all it takes to remember why we are here. We are here to see each other. We are here to care about each other. We are here to make each other feel like we belong." And every morning Marcus still walked into that coffee shop on 5th Avenue. He still sat by the same window. He still drank coffee and watched people come in and feel less lonely. He still saw Sophie when she could come in, and they would smile at each other, because they both knew something very important. They both knew that they had found something real. They both knew that business could be about people. They both knew that money was not the point. The point was that everyone deserves to feel like someone sees them. The point was that everyone deserves to belong.